Mark Pancratz, number 9 Kentucky, fresh off their own upset loss at Vandy. Vanderbilt Memorial Magic seems to be back, so Kentucky loses at Vandy. They're coming to town on Tuesday night. It's Mark Pope's first meeting with Tennessee as head coach. Then later in the week, Saturday, you got Florida coming in here.
Yep.
Talk to me about Kentucky. What do fans need to know about them first?
Well, Kentucky loves to play downhill. Their guards want to get into you, get to the paint. Mark Pope talked about it last night, that they were surprised the fact that Vanderbilt's guard play really got underneath them and caused them problems, because they talk all year about that's the way that they want to play. They want the physicality. They want guys getting up in them, and so that way they can drive by and then play. And that's what Tennessee's going to do, right? And their guards are going to get up into them. They got some interior presence that could give us some problems. Some guys that rebounding, averaging 9 points a game. They out-rebound their opponents by 4 or 5 rebounds. But they score a lot of points. And again, and Tyler talked about it earlier, can we dictate tempo? Yeah. If we can dictate tempo, this is actually one where, yes, I mean, Vince was talking about we want to play fast and get in transition. But really, we got to dictate the tempo, because if we allow Kentucky to get out in the open and use their athleticism, their scoring ability, it's going to be hard for us to keep up with their ability.
You get a better chance if the score's in the 60s than you do if it's in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. Florida. All right. How difficult is this? Let me put you in Florida's shoes. How difficult is this when you've beaten a good team? You brought them into your place and you beat the devil out of them the way Florida did Tennessee. Then a couple weeks later, knowing that team's out for revenge, you got to go to their place. How tough is that to pull the double in that situation?
Yeah, I think the way that the SEC schedule is right now, where every night is a dogfight, every night's a big opponent, really guys don't have much time to think about that previous game. Now, once you're getting into it and you're starting to watch the tape from it, you're going to start to see it. I would bet Florida doesn't watch much of the tape that they played against Tennessee, so that way you don't get that false confidence like you're going to be able to do it again. But I do know that Zakai and Meshack, these seniors, these guys, I mean, basically the whole roster's only got 1 year here. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to protect the arena and do what, hopefully, what they did to us.
Tyler Evans, give me the betting perspective on this. You got Kentucky's number 9. Now they're going to drop probably after they lost to Vanderbilt, but they're number 9. Florida number 5. What do you think from a gambling perspective?
Hey, if this was still Calipari versus Barnes, we know the success that Rick has had in his time with Coach K. With Coach Cal. I think from a Kentucky standpoint, Mark hit it right on the head. This team is fast. They want to get downhill. They're one of the highest scoring offenses in college basketball. From a gambling standpoint, Tennessee, we're over here talking about how they just slowed down an Auburn team who's up in the 80s. I think this is going to be one of those games where you're going to ask Tennessee not only to do it against Kentucky, but also to do it against Florida as well, who loves the outside shot. I think you need to be looking to where the totals are when they're released, and they're usually about 18 hours advance of a tip. I would find the total immediately, and I would start dropping that thing like an anchor and trying to get the under as quickly as possible. Tennessee learned something last night. Get them down to your level. Every opponent they play, bring them down to your level, because I don't believe we're going to find the answer to the opening segment of that third or second score consistently. So Tennessee can look around at what they did last night, the good, and say, all right, so this is how we're going to have to settle teams like Florida, Kentucky, and some of those A&M's physicalities we're going to see down the road. Unders in both of these games, especially in a hostile environment. I also believe Tennessee, when they see Florida come to town, kind of with a Todd Golden coach who likes to wear his emotions on his shoulder, I think that thing could get hot like a hornet's nest fast, and I think the fans are going to play a huge role in it.
Let me ask you one question, Mark, that I didn't get into in the earlier segments. So just about a minute here, and that is, you've talked many times about you came up in Chicago, and people up there know how to watch basketball in terms of it's a loss. You know, we got 35 of these things. Down here in the SEC, we treat it like football. It's like you're never supposed to lose. Looking at last night, I walked out of that kind of impressed with the effort Tennessee game. I didn't expect them to play Auburn that tight last night. Once I saw that Broome was back, now, you had a different view of that. But I thought Tennessee would go down there and lose, and probably lose pretty bad at number 1 Auburn. I walk out of that thinking, well, you might have learned something in terms of what your physicality needs to be. I don't see that as a horrible negative. Obviously, you want to win the game. You don't have to hit me with the Herm Edwards thing. But I didn't think that was a terrible minus for this team. What was your take? Should fans be walking out of that ticked off? You didn't win it. Should they be walking out of that saying, nah, it's a step in the right direction? How do you look at that?
I mean, I think there's definitely a pride factor that we can feel good about in some ways. But the concern that I have is, yes, we got to be more physical. That's better for us. But we talk about our depth. and can a physical slate where you're playing, I mean, look, it's number 1, number 9, number 6, I mean, like top 10 teams. Can you withstand that the entire year and be able to? It's a tournament sport.
Yeah.
And can our bodies and mind be ready for the March Madness if we have to play so physical each and every night?
Agree with that one, but I can't sit there and I'm not going to beat somebody up because of the lack of depth. I guess you could say, well, Barnes didn't build the roster right. He should have known this guy was going to get hurt and transfer. To me, that's just an act of God kind of a thing. I'm not going to worry about. You're right in terms of looking at this team's long-term potential. I don't think they have the depth to make a deep run this year. But at the same time, I'm looking at the way they played, the effort they gave. I walk out of Auburn, yeah, you lost, but I thought, how many times did you go to the number 1 team in the country, fight like that, and only lose by 2? It's college basketball.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, you're going to lose on the road, period. To go to the number 1 team where the head coach wants that game more than anything else, I thought you did all right last night.
My challenge is, I think we're at the stage of where we're like Elite 8 type.
You're past
that's the expectation. And we keep going back. What have we seen the last couple of years? Physicality down the stretch. Can we guard interior? Well, we're still seeing the same thing.
Yep.
Do we have depth? Can Zakai be that guy that plays 39 minutes throughout the year?
Yep.
Who's going to be the third scorer? Some of the same questions are continuing to pop their head up. And so, yes, I was proud by the way that we played and was not by any means defeated for that one game. But from a macro perspective, it's like, where are we going to change? What's going to be the difference to where we now can be in a position where we're not talking about, golly, we didn't shoot the ball from 3 well again tonight, and it's the Sweet 16 or the second round and we're out.
And that's the difference between a coach and me, because you're looking at how to fix it. I'm looking at it, they are what they are. That's my view. Mark, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to give you a taste of our new YouTube channel, the Sports Source Digital Network. If you're wondering, what the heck are they talking about with these new shows? What's that mean? We'll give you a little glimpse of that. And then we're getting into UT football. We're going to talk about the transfers coming in. They added 2 this week. We're going to talk about preseason predictions for the rankings, over-unders, you name it. We got it. Come on back on the Sports Source.